SSA grouped seniors by birth year. Are you born in the 50s and 60s? These new rules apply to you. The Social Security Administration does not apply the same rules to everyone. Depending on the decade you were born in, your full retirement age is different. Your penalty for claiming early is different. Your break-even calculation is different. And the mistakes that can permanently reduce your monthly check are different. Right now in 2026, there are people in both of these groups, people born in the 1950s and people born in the 1960s, who are either receiving less than they are entitled to or who are about to make a claiming decision they cannot undo. And the SSA is not going to call you before you make it. What applies to your neighbor does not apply to you. What your older sibling was told does not apply to you. Your birth year determines your rules. And today we are going through exactly what those rules are, group by group. In a moment, I am going to split this into two groups. If you were born in the 1950s, your rules are first. If you were born in the 1960s, your rules come second. Find your group and listen specifically to what applies to you, because the information in one group does not always carry over to the other. And stay until the very end, because the final section covers something that affects the 1960s group in a way that almost nobody is factoring into their claiming decision right now. It involves the Social Security Trust Fund, a specific projected date, and a financial scenario you need to run before you file. I am not going to bury it. It is at the end. Do not skip ahead. Now, if you are not subscribed to this channel, stop and do that right now. The SSA made 3 significant rule changes in 2026 with almost no public announcement. The people who found out in time were the ones who had this channel turned on. The ones who were not subscribed found out after the deadline had already passed. That is a mistake you cannot go back and fix. Subscribe now. Group 1. Born in the 1950s. You are between 66 and 75 years old in 2026. If you are in this group, there are 4 things happening right now that directly affect your Social Security benefit, and at least one of them may mean money is owed to you that you have not yet received. Rule 1. Your full retirement age is between 66 and 66 years and 10 months, and where you fall inside that range determines everything. If you were born between 1943 and 1954, your full retirement age was 66 exactly. If you were born in 1955, it was 66 years and 2 months. 1956, 66 and 4 months. 1957, 66 and 6 months. 1958, 66 and 8 months. 1959, 66 and 10 months. These are not small differences. Every 2 months of additional full retirement age represents a slightly different penalty calculation if you claimed early, a slightly different delayed credit calculation if you waited, and a slightly different break-even point between claiming now versus claiming later. If you claimed at 62 and you were born in the 1950s, your permanent reduction was somewhere between 20 and 25%. Not the 30% that the 1960s group now faces, but not harmless either. On a $2,071 average monthly benefit, a 25% permanent reduction is $518 less every single month. Over 20 years, that is $124,320 that left your household because of a single decision made at 62 that nobody fully explained to you before you made it. If you are still approaching your full retirement age, if you were born in 1958 or 1959 and have not yet claimed, you are still inside the window where this decision can go right or wrong. Do not assume the rules that applied to someone you know who is a few years older automatically apply to you. They do not. Rule 2. The WEP and GPO repeal may mean money is owed to you right now, and there is a deadline on collecting it. This is the most time-sensitive item in this entire video for the 1950s group, so pay close attention. In January 2025, the Social Security Fairness Act was signed into law, repealing 2 provisions that had reduced or completely eliminated Social Security benefits for millions of public sector workers for decades. The Windfall Elimination Provision, WEP, had reduced Social Security benefits for workers who received a government pension from a job not covered by Social Security. The Government Pension Offset, GPO, had reduced or eliminated spousal and survivor benefits for the same group, in many cases by 2/3 of the pension amount. For some widows and widowers, the GPO had reduced their survivor benefit to 0. Both of those provisions are now gone. If you spent any part of your career as a teacher, a firefighter, a police officer, a federal employee under the old CSRS pension system, or any other public sector role with a government pension, and if your Social Security benefit was reduced because of WEP or GPO, that reduction should now have been reversed. The SSA has processed 92% of new applications triggered by the repeal as of mid-2025, but not everyone has applied, and not every affected beneficiary has seen their benefit automatically corrected. Log into your My Social Security account at ssa.gov right now and look at your current monthly benefit amount. Compare it to what you were receiving before January 2025. If the number has not changed and you had a government pension, do not assume the correction is coming automatically. Call 1-800-772-1213 and ask specifically about the Social Security Fairness Act and whether your benefit has been recalculated. Here is why the deadline matters. Retroactive payments under this repeal are limited to 6 months before the date you file your application, which means if you wait 3 more months to call, you have already permanently forfeited 3 months of back pay. Every month of delay is real money that cannot be recovered. This is not a someday phone call. This is a this week phone call. Rule 3. If you are widowed, your survivor benefit sequencing strategy could be worth 6 figures, and almost nobody explains it correctly. For widows and widowers in the 1950s group, there is a specific sequencing strategy that the SSA will not walk you through unprompted. It exists because of a distinction most people do not know. SSA deemed filing rules apply to retirement benefits and spousal benefits simultaneously, but they do not apply to survivor benefits. Survivor benefits can be claimed independently, at a different time, on a separate track. What that means in practice is this. If you are a widow or widower with your own Social Security record, you have 2 separate benefit pools available to you, your own retirement benefit and your survivor benefit. You are not required to claim both at the same time. You can claim one early and let the other grow. Here is one version of how that works. Claim your survivor benefit as early as age 60, accepting a reduction, while letting your own retirement benefit earn delayed retirement credits of 8% per year between your full retirement age and age 70. At 70, switch to your own record, which has now grown to its maximum. Or reverse the strategy if your own record is the smaller one. Claim your own retirement benefit first. Let the survivor benefit grow to its unreduced amount at your full retirement age, then switch. Get this sequencing right, and it can be worth more than $100,000 in additional lifetime income compared to claiming both benefits at the same time without a strategy. Get it wrong. Claim both simultaneously without comparing them, and that opportunity is gone permanently. Before you make any benefit decision as a widow or widower, call 1-800-772-1213 and ask SSA specifically to walk you through your survivor benefit options and the sequencing strategies available for your specific birth year and benefit amounts. Do not rely on general advice. Your numbers are specific to you. Rule 4. If you are still working and contributing to an HSA, Medicare enrollment carries a trap that catches the most financially organized people in this group. This one is specifically for people in the 1950s group who are still working, still covered by employer health insurance, and still contributing to a health savings account. The rule is this. The moment you enroll in any part of Medicare, including Part A, you lose the legal right to contribute to an HSA. Your contribution limit drops to 0 starting from the first month of Medicare coverage. That sounds straightforward. Here is where it becomes a trap. Medicare Part A enrollment can be backdated up to 6 months from the date you apply, which means if you sign up for Medicare in, say, October 2026, your Part A coverage may be backdated to April 2026. If you made HSA contributions between April and October of this year, every one of those contributions is now classified as an excess contribution by the IRS, subject to a 6% excise tax plus income tax on the excess amount, for every year it remains in the account uncorrected. The people this catches are not careless. They are thorough, organized, financially engaged people who planned carefully, but did not know that Medicare Part A backdating and HSA contribution rules interact this way. The SSA does not warn you about this when you enroll. Your HR department may not know either. If you are approaching Medicare enrollment and you are currently contributing to an HSA, stop contributions at least 6 months before your planned Medicare start date. And call your HSA administrator today to confirm the exact month your contribution eligibility ends based on your Medicare enrollment date. Group 2. Born in the 1960s. You are between 56 and 65 years old in 2026. If you are in this group, you are either approaching your claiming decision or you are still years away from it. Either way, the rules that apply to you are the most consequential of any generation in Social Security history. And there are 4 things you need to understand clearly before you make a single decision. Rule 1. Your full retirement age is 67. That is the maximum it has ever been. And the penalty for claiming early is now at its absolute highest. In November 2026, full retirement age permanently reaches 67 for everyone born in 1960 or later, completing a 42-year shift that began with the 1983 Social Security amendments. For the 1960s group, this means 3 things simultaneously. First, claiming at 62 now carries a permanent 30% reduction. Not 20% like the early 1950s group. Not 25% like the late 1950s group. 30%. On a $2,071 average monthly benefit, that is $621 less every single month for the rest of your life. Over 20 years, that is $149,040. Over 25 years, it is $186,300. Second, delaying from 67 to 70 adds 24% permanently above your full benefit through delayed retirement credits of 8% per year. On that same $2,071 benefit, delay to 70 produces $2,568 per month. That is $497 more every month than collecting at FRA, and $1,119 more every month than collecting at 62. Third, and this is the number that should make you stop, the lifetime gap between claiming at 62 versus claiming at 70 is $268,560 over 20 years. That is not a planning nuance. That is a second home. That is your children's inheritance. That is the difference between financial security at 85 and financial anxiety at 85. The break-even point, the age at which delaying to 70 produces more total lifetime income than claiming at 62, falls in the late 70s for most people. The average American who reaches age 62 today lives well into their early 80s. For the majority of people in the 1960s group, the mathematics of delay are overwhelming. But the SSA will process your early claim without ever showing you this comparison. Rule 2. The earnings test is a trap specifically designed to catch people in this group who are still working. Nearly 1 in 5 Americans over 65 is currently working while receiving Social Security benefits, the highest rate in decades. And for the 1960s group, many of whom are still working while approaching their claiming window, the earnings test is the most commonly misunderstood rule in the entire SSA system. Here is how it works. If you claim Social Security before your full retirement age of 67 and you earn more than $24,480 in 2026, the SSA withholds $1 in benefits for every $2 you earn above that limit. In the calendar year you actually reach your FRA, the limit rises to $65,160 and the withholding drops to $1 for every $3 over the limit. The moment your FRA birthday passes, the earnings test disappears entirely. You can earn any amount with no reduction. The withheld benefits are technically returned to you after FRA in the form of a slightly higher monthly payment. But the repayment calculation is complex, takes years to break even, and requires you to have absorbed months of reduced or zero benefit payments in the meantime, which for people living on a fixed or semi-fixed income in early retirement is not a theoretical problem. It is a cash flow crisis. If you are working and considering claiming early, calculate your exact earnings position before you file. Go to ssa.gov/benefits/retirement/planner/whileworking.html and determine precisely how much you would have withheld at your current income level. Then ask yourself whether claiming early while working actually produces more money than waiting, or whether the combination of the permanent reduction and the earnings withholding makes early claiming a decision that costs you on both ends simultaneously. Rule 3. For married couples in this group, the higher earner's claiming age sets the survivor benefit permanently, and most couples do not calculate this before they file. This is the rule that produces the most preventable long-term financial damage for the 1960s group. and it is almost never discussed clearly before a couple makes their claiming decision. When one spouse dies, the surviving spouse inherits the deceased's Social Security benefit at whatever amount it was at the time of claiming. If the higher earner in a couple claims at 62, accepting a 30% permanent reduction, the surviving spouse inherits that reduced amount for the rest of their life. The reduction does not disappear when the higher earner dies. It is locked in permanently and it transfers. On a $2,071 full benefit, the higher earner claiming at 62 produces a survivor benefit of $1,449 per month. The same higher earner delaying to 70 produces a survivor benefit of $2,568 per month. The difference is $1,119 per month, $13,428 per year, for every year the surviving spouse lives after the higher earner's death. If the surviving spouse lives for 20 years after the higher earner dies, that one claiming decision, 62 versus 70, is worth $268,560 to the person left behind. And that person is usually the one with less independent income, less savings, and the least ability to absorb a permanent reduction in their monthly check. For the 1960s group specifically, delaying the higher earner's benefit is in most cases the single most consequential financial decision a couple will make in retirement. It is not primarily about the higher earner's retirement income. It is about protecting the surviving spouse for potentially 2 or 3 decades after they are gone. Run this calculation before either of you files, not after. Rule 4. Delayed retirement credits stop at 70, not 71, not 72, 70. This is the shortest rule and the one most often violated by people who decide to delay and then simply keep waiting. For every month you delay claiming beyond your full retirement age of 67, your benefit grows by approximately 2/3 of 1%, 8% per year. That growth continues until the month you turn 70. On your 70th birthday, the delayed retirement credits stop accruing. Completely. Permanently. There is no financial benefit, none, to waiting past age 70. After 70, your benefit only increases through annual cost of living adjustments, which happen regardless of when you claim. Which means every month you delay past 70 is a month of benefits permanently forfeited with nothing received in return. If you have decided to delay to maximize your benefit, set a calendar reminder for the month of your 70th birthday and file immediately. Do not wait for a convenient time. Do not assume a few extra months will not matter. On a $2,568 monthly benefit at 70, a 6-month delay past your 70th birthday is $15,408 in foregone payments that can never be recovered. Let me bring this together. 2 groups, different rules, same urgency. If you were born in the 1950s, your full retirement age falls somewhere between 66 and 66 years and 10 months, depending on exactly when you were born. The WEP and GPO repeal may mean your benefit was recalculated, or should have been, and there is a 6-month limit on how far back you can claim retroactive payments. If you are widowed, there is a survivor benefit sequencing strategy that could be worth 6 figures, but only if you ask SSA about it directly. And if you are still working and contributing to an HSA, Medicare enrollment timing can trigger IRS penalties most people never see coming. If you were born in the 1960s, your full retirement age is 67, the highest it has ever been, and claiming at 62 now carries a permanent 30% reduction, the largest penalty in Social Security history. The gap between claiming at 62 and claiming at 70 is $268,560 over 20 years. If you are working, the earnings test can withhold benefits while you are still under your full retirement age. And if you are married, the higher earner's claiming age determines what your spouse receives for the rest of their life after you are gone. And for the 1960s group specifically, the trust fund projection for 2033 is not a distant headline. It is a number that belongs inside your break-even calculation right now, today, while you still have time to plan around it. Here is what I want you to do. Not someday. This week. If you were born in the 1950s, log into My Social Security at SSA.gov and compare your current benefit to what you received before January 2025. If you had a government pension and the number has not changed, call 1-800-772-1213 today. The retroactive payment window is shrinking every month you wait. If you are widowed, Ask SSA directly about survivor benefit sequencing before you file anything. If you were born in the 1960s, go to ssa.gov/estimator and run your numbers at 62, 67, and 70. If you are married, calculate the survivor benefit impact of each scenario, not just your own income, but what your spouse would receive after you are gone. And factor the 2033 trust fund projection into your decision before you file. Now, before you close this video, drop your birth decade in the comments. Born in the 50s or the 60s? I want to see how many people in each group are watching, because the comments here become the questions I answer in future videos. And think of one person in your life right now who is approaching this decision and does not know the rules are different depending on the year they were born. Share this with them today, not after they file. Before. Because a claiming decision made with the wrong information is one you live with for the rest of your life, and so does the person you leave behind.